Hi everyone, Coach Sullivan here again with MGS Coaching Football. To my subscribers, I thank you, and to those who haven't yet, hope you do. Just completed my 38th year coaching football, and I was a defensive coordinator. But over that span, I've also been an offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, and a longtime head coach, all of which is at both the collegiate and high school levels. Today, in this presentation, I want to talk to you about one of our split coverages versus both 2x2 and 3x1 out of our base and rotate tag, okay? 11 personnel that we call Oklahoma. So if you've seen my Bama presentation in the split coverages on the whiteboard playlist, then this is almost identical. I use Oklahoma because they're both crimson and white colors-wise, and Oklahoma is opposite Bama, as you'll see, with the same 3x1 check. Okay, so it's real simple for us to do, as you'll see, and I'll explain it to you. I'm not going to give you details on grade 4 or grade 3. You need to see my match quarters on the whiteboard playlist for either one. Okay, but I'll just make references to check steel, which is our automatic. See my 3x1 coverages on the whiteboard, just multiple check steel presentations. But I'll give you the basics so you understand that enough. But therein lies the simplicity in our ability to check the same as an automatic whenever we're in our split coverage. In this case, Oklahoma. All right? So the coding that we use is college football nicknames, or we use schools, okay, that correspond somewhat. Their colors match up with our colors that we use in our coverage system, okay? That's crimson, right? So the key terms, the Liz or Rip, that determines our pass strengths, L and R, left and right. Pass strength 2x2 is to the two wide receivers, as you'll see. Side 3x1, three receiver side. So that hopefully will simplify for however you do it is fine. So it makes sense to you watching how we do it, what our vernacular is. Okay, dividing line, what we call a football. I'll go over that in the first diagram in the presentation here. A press tag. I'm not getting into a lot of details. We'll utilize it, and I'll just make mention of it near the end. Same with what we call a bail tag. Both are made by me, called by me at the end before I clap. They're for both cornerbacks, okay? And we use a zone press look in both. Again, I'll touch on that briefly as I get near the end. And our check crimson is our 3x1 check versus Texas and Topeka, the only two types of 3x1s we get with 11 personnel. Okay? And you'll see the consistency in it and how the offensive scheme determines how many of our defenders are rushing the quarterback. Okay? So the way I have this set up, all three diagrams on the left are base. All three diagrams on the right are out of our rotate tag. Okay, the first one is versus 2x2 Dallas base. Rotate versus 2x2 Dallas base. Third one, Oklahoma check crimson versus Texas. Fourth one, rotate check crimson versus Texas. Fifth one, check crimson versus Topeka base. Sixth and final one, check crimson versus Topeka, rotate. Okay, so with that, here we go. So split coverage, right? Let me talk about the dividing line first. We use the football, as I said. Okay, and literally the football, before I even go any further there, Bama we use on a signboard. Any of the different symbols that you associate with Alabama football, we mix up and use different ones, all right? Because believe it or not, it might confuse our own guys. Forget the opponents, okay? The front is built in. So this is our built-in 3-4 front that we use. Same front we can use for both base and rotate tag. So that's part of the call. It's built there. Our kids know they're in the 50 front when we call Bama. They know that. Okay, they also know I might add a rifle line stunt or a pistol payload pass rush line stunt before the Bama. Okay, but Bama is the front end of coverage with the built-in 3x1 check. And with that, I can add, again, a rifle run line stunt or a pass rush line stunt as well. Okay, so it's real simple. It's great for up-tempo. Okay, great for up-tempo. But it's all inclusive. And the football, since the nose is on it, we use that as the invisible dividing line. So here's the split coverage versus 2x2. Okay? Now here's the rip, right? Liz or rip. 2x2, two wide receivers. So we have a pro, one wide receiver. We have twins, two wide receivers. So it's a rip. Okay, that's the pass strength. It's the same over here. In Oklahoma, the pass strength is gray 3. So these 3 defenders, right, are playing gray 3. So you have to go to my match quarters on the whiteboard playlist to see the gray 4 has its own, gray 3 has its own. So I'm not going to get into the particulars of that. Please go see those playlists. So on the gray 3 side, that means the corner's going to stem, and he's got one man for man. He's not even there. Okay? Away from so in this case, if it's rip on the left, they're playing our base gray 4. So these 4 defenders are reacting to number 2. So what we do to make sure we're on the same page, okay, the call is Oklahoma. Okay, so we have something that resembles, again, Oklahoma football. There are different symbols that you can use, okay, on the signboard. And so on the right, the pass strength side, the safety's saying, gray 3, gray 3, gray 3 right, gray 3 right. On the left, the safety's saying gray 4 left, gray 4 left. Again, it means everything to us. I don't care if the offense hears it. Don't care. They got their own stuff. All right, I tell them, teach my players, don't be listening to what they're saying. Worry about what we're saying. Okay? So safety, gray 3 right, gray 3 right, gray 4 left, gray 4 left. Okay, and that's the split coverage. Same thing over here now. If I call rotate, so whoever has the responsibility of the signboard signaling Oklahoma, I'm going like this. I clap, kids turn, they know it. They know the front, they know the cover, boom, boom, done. Okay, and if I wanted to, again, add a rifle or a payload, I'd have done that before I went rotate, boom, done. Okay, so remember, the difference now on the rotate is just the safeties. So now that outside linebacker who is detached is a part of the box, but he's still part of the gray 3. So it's a rip, rip, rip. Safety saying gray 3 right, gray 3 right. The other safety saying gray 4 left, gray 4 left, right? Nothing changes. Even though the safety's in the middle of the field because they're the ones that rotated to the 2 wide receivers, he's still a part of the gray 4 to the left, opposite the rip in that case, okay? So that middle safety is always a part of the side opposite the pass strength. All right, over here, so that's how that works. So that's the split coverage. If they stay 2x2, that's what happens, okay? Now, if they go 3x1, so now I'm in diagram 3 here. So we're in Oklahoma base mode, and they give us 11 Texas, which is a 3x1, right? T. So remember Liz, right? 3x1 to the 3 wide receivers. When we're in base, we get what's called an automatic overhang, which is both outside linebackers on the same side. Not a problem. Because also remember, in base, we give you 2 high safeties versus everything, which means we have minimum box numbers. So this is a great call when it's going to be a pass. So we base it upon, we're going to be in the base mode, no pun intended there, base it upon, right? Our opponent's tendencies. Because if it's 50-50, 60-40, 55-45, or it's definite run, we're going to be in rotate, as you'll see. Okay? So either way, right now we're in base. It's Liz, check crimson. One word, crimson. Okay? There it is. So it's not you have to make a call on the left, call on the right. Nope. Crimson. That's one call for everybody. So on the 3 receiver side, Okay, let me get rid of this for a second. The two defensive backs and the two outside linebackers have the exact same assignment as they have in our automatic check steal. Okay, which is our match quarters automatic unless I tag something else. All right, so again, you have to go to my 3x1 coverages playlist to see the particulars there. So it's 3-2 vertical for the safety. It's 2-1 vertical for the corner. It's jam 2, flat wheel for the outside linebacker over 2. Jam 3, curl for the outside linebacker over 3. Okay? Here's the people that there's a little bit of a tweak. Okay, to the check steal, I've underlined. So it's both inside linebackers and the corner and safety on the 1x1 receiver side. All right? So it's a little bit messy, but the inside linebacker, the Mike in this case, 2 to 3 receivers, has number 3 in or number 2 in or rush. So he's going to pivot, his same match quarters technique. Again, see the presentation, please. If 3 or 2 doesn't come into him, because if they do, he cuts them and takes them. That's it. Okay, so 3-2 in and less. And if they don't come in, he adds to the rush. So that's dictated by the offensive scheme. All right? On the one receiver side, the other inside linebacker, the back in this case, he has the running back only if he comes to him. So if the running back goes away, he mirrors. So we have 4 rushing with a 5th mirror. That's 5 guys assigned to the quarterback, and that's dictated by the offense, not us. Okay, that's all built into our system. And we let the offense dictate to us. That's what match quarters, right? Even the entire scheme is matching what the offense is doing. So now see how we're going to take care of the one receiver. We're an outside press with the high safety. That's the same look we give 99% of the time. So they think they know what they got. At or maybe a little before the snap. Corner stems to inside press. Press man, remember, 1X. He's deep half. This is a automatic double cover high-low of their dude. So on the snap, he's reading surface first. If it's a run, he's not going to work hard over the top, but they show pass. His only responsibility is to be high on top of number 1. He doesn't ever have to get his eyes over here to see if there's any vertical crossers coming. That's taken care of by the safety. Or if it's not the safety, it's going to be the corner. And if 3's not out, then we got 2 guys that we can assign a number 2. He doesn't have to worry about it. So we have the corner in trail, the safety over the top. The reason he's in trail, which would mean he's behind or underneath, we always talk about don't have 2 defenders on the same side of the receiver. So the corner's underneath, the safety's on top, hence high, low. And if you're in trail, that means you're behind the receiver, chasing him, which is fine because the safety's sitting on top. 2 different sides of the receiver. More often than not, that X is their dude. And going into a game, we see they're going to put their dude there. Then we're going to run a fair amount of Oklahoma because when they go 3-by-1, hoping to get him on an island, they're going to be disappointed. Okay, so check crimson, right? Crimson and white. That's Oklahoma. Check crimson. So now in the rotate tag, the only difference here, okay, and it's a big difference. Instead of having an outside linebacker and automatic overhang, he stays opposite the tight end or he's on the one receiver side, right? So outside linebacker stay on either side. Rotate only the safety. So see how the safety's rotated. So now the free is 1-by-8 Ike over 2. The whip's right in the middle. Okay? So now here's what happens. I've done this in other presentations. Please remember. This outside linebacker was the flat wheel. Well, now he's over here, so he cannot be the flat wheel. So the safety still has 3 to 2 vertical. So if 3's vertical, boom, done, he's got 3. If 3 isn't but 2 is, boom, done, he's got 2 vertical. If neither 2 or 3 or 2 are vertical, we add his responsibility of flat wheel to the safeties, and now he jumps it. So it's 3 vertical first, 2 vertical second, neither one's vertical, he's the flat wheel guy. Have to add it because the outside linebacker is not available. And that's easy to teach because it's consistent with our rotate tag, okay, coming off of base. So you got to build in consistent tweaks when you have an A plan and a B plan, a base and a rotate. I think that's all we need. At least it's proven to be the case so far. Again, I'm not talking the NFL or the Alabama level, and one of the reasons Alabama is so successful on top of the great coaching and great athletes, it's their scheme, the simplicity of the scheme, right? Plan A, plan B. Okay? So that's that portion of it. So corner still 2 to 1, 3 to 2. Now he's the flat wheel. Still jam 3 curl, still 3-2 in. Everything stays the same, or rush. So if the scheme tells him to rush because 3 or 2 don't go in, he adds to the rush, right? So now we got 1, 2, 3, 4 minimum. But now watch what happens here. Right? All 4 have a tweak in their responsibility when it's Oklahoma. Crimson, check crimson. Linebacker's the same, right? Running back 2, he goes away, mirror. Safety still has the half over here with no responsibility looking on this side, so nothing changes. Corner still stem inside, play trail man, so everything stays the same. He's just got to get on his horse, right, to get there. Normally in rotate, the outside and inside linebackers are in combo, not in crimson. Woo! Because it's orbit, safety's in the middle. When it's pass, so this is a read, he becomes a rusher on the pass. It's a read. Okay, so it's you can call it a blitz if you want. We just say he adds to the rush. He's an outside rusher. Okay, so now you have 1, 2, 3, 4 with the possibility of a 5th. Right? 5-man rush with a mirror. So that's 6 guys accounting for the quarterback, and that's all dictated by the offensive scheme. And behind it, you got double coverage on the dude high-low. We let the scheme take us to where we need to be, which the most beneficial place, I should say, for us to be. Okay? Big stuff. So now let's come down here to Oklahoma check crimson versus Topeka. Okay, so in base, we rotate the coverage. We crank it because Topeka, right? 3 wide receivers with a single width tight end. Okay, it's the same over there. So you got the rover, you got the same box alignment. Everybody's following their alignment rules. Now we crank it. Outside linebacker over 3. Screw the safety down over 2. Apex, the other safety between 2 and 3 at 12. Now they crank the corner back to 2x8. It's check cloud. Okay? And so over here, nothing changes, right? The rules are the same. GM2 flat wheel, GM3 curl, 3-2, 2-1, boom, done. Inside linebacker, 3's in, takes him. If not, 2's in, takes him. If not, add to the rush, right? Again, dictated by the offensive scheme. On the one receiver side, very similar to what this is called, normally automatic is turbo. This is identical. As is for the rover, on pass, he'll hear it. On pass, he's going to automatically add to the rush. Again, you can call it a blitz. We say he's an outside rusher. It's a read, right? It's not an automatic. There's no lucky Ringo call, nor is there one up there for the other outside linebacker. What's meant by no peel, remember, the inside linebacker has running back too. That's an automatic. So there'll never be a peel call. That's a tweak. That's a definite tweak because in turbo, there's a peel call. Okay, so again, if he goes there, he's in a mirror. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4-man rush minimum. The scheme tells him to rush. Now it's a 5-man rush, and the scheme tells him to mirror. So again, 6 guys on the quarterback, dictated by the scheme, the offensive scheme. And so now, keeping consistent, on the one receiver side, it's 1 man, but it's off man, right? Because he's 2 by 8. That's a little tweak. Instead of press man, it's off man. And it's not a double cover high-low because this also isn't the dude. I mean, unless it's Rob Gronkowski, right? This isn't going to be the dude in all likelihood. Okay? So that's the little tweak. Check Crimson to Topeka. Obviously, the only difference, honestly, the only difference here is, remember, we bring him in tight to the box, so it's a 7-man box, right? 7 men. And so because of that, instead of apexing, the whip now, 1 by 12 Ike on number 3, but all the assignments stay the same, he can still buzz to the curl. I erased the word curl, sorry. He's never going to jam 3. We don't expect him to, but on pass, he buzzes out. But because he's lined up there, if we had called something else, he might be going, right? And again, same thing. If 3 comes in, he takes them. If not, 2, he takes them. If not, add to the rush. Over here, same. Pass, rush. So 1, 2, 3, 4 minimum. Scheme makes it the 5th. Running back away, he's mirror. Now we got, again, 6 guys on the quarterback. Same off-man look here, right? He's still 2 by 8. So that's the beauty of it and the simplicity. So as I mentioned, check Crimson, right? The automatic. Press and bail. If I want to have them play a zone press technique, the last thing I'll do is that. Before I do this, that's press. This is bail, okay? And so it applies only to the corners. I call it. Okay, very rarely have I let a corner on his own determine whether or not he's going to press a bail. So all that would happen is they'd walk up when the receivers turn in, and he'd be outside like that. And if it was going to be a press tag, he'd use his outside arm to jam up here and funnel him inside while reading inside number 2. That's it. And if it were bail, he'd start there, and just prior to the snap, he'd bail back. That's it. Boom, done. So it's just a couple of different looks that may or may not confuse them a little bit. So if it's not going to confuse them or give you an advantage against the receiver, then I wouldn't call it. If they have receivers who are not good versus the press, then I would use it. Okay, so you've got to figure out all that through film study and determining matchups and all the good stuff that goes into coaching. Okay, so again, this is Oklahoma, Ray 3 versus 2 by 2. Gray 3 to the lizard rip. Rip in this case. Gray 4 opposite. Safeties make the call. Okay, make sure everybody's on the same page. Same thing if it will rotate. Any 3 by 1. Automatic check Crimson. And so the last thing I want to talk about is if they motion. So anytime number 2 goes to 3 by 1 or number 1 goes to 3 by 1, it's very simple because all it is check Crimson, one thing. If there's a change in the Liz or Rip and we're in base, you got to say check Liz and they rope. You have to see the other playlist, the base playlist for that. But again, it's just check Liz, Crimson. We've never had an issue going from 2 by 2 to 3 by 1. If they start 3 by 1 and motion to 2 by 2, I'm going to make a suggestion. Again, if we're base, we got to rope it, which isn't a problem. It's the communication. Now it would check Rip, right? check Oklahoma, go back to it, and then, 3 right, 4 left. They may not be able to get all that in, and they may have a difficult time getting it out. So if you can get away with just saying check rip Oklahoma, which means you're going back to the call and they don't need to hear 3 right, 4 left, great. But if they do and they're unable to get out all that verbiage, there's more to communicate when it goes from 3x1 to 2x2 than what we've done is check rip 4, check rip 4. We go back to our base match quarters, gray 4. Done. I'd much rather do that than have miscommunications all over the place and have kids confused, forget it. So that's what we've done in the past. Because there's more to communicate when you go from 3 by 1 to 2 by 2, in cases where our kids struggle with the communication, I just simplified it even more. Check the Liz or Rip, 4. So check Rip, 4. Check Liz, 4. And the kids know they're playing gray 4. So if you have to do that in your own terminology, that's what I would suggest. Because remember, to play fast with the feet, they've got to play fast here. Okay? So like I said at the beginning, to my subscribers, I thank you. And to those who haven't yet, I hope you do. To everyone, any questions, please, I hope you'll reach out to me at CoachMJSullivan@gmail.com because I would love to talk football with you.